You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Got some announcements coming up later you will not want to miss. Okay, Kathy, remind me about the announcements. I know what they are. I won't forget them, but I might forget to make the announcement. But anyway, Ron DeSantis is causing a complete media meltdown, a Democrat meltdown, and a Biden White House meltdown. And, you know, I imagine it's a little frustrating for—
He is awesome.
Oh, yeah, he is. I imagine it's a little frustrating for Ron DeSantis because if President Trump were in the White House right now, it would be him would be talking about getting the nomination in 2024, but it's not his time. Okay, he'll be our second MAGA president.
He's a young
in
guy.
2028.
He can wait. Believe me. I don't think he's really. Everybody's assuming that he just wants to be the president right now. I don't think he wants to be it right now. I think he's a Florida guy, born and raised. I think he has a lot to do in Florida. And I don't think he would leave now. I think he wants to finish the things he started. Yeah. I mean, he's put Florida in such a great place.
He's doing good.
I don't think he'd want to move on to other things just yet.
This Martha's Vineyard flight last week has messed up the entire plan of the Never Trumpers, the Trump derangement syndrome sufferers, the liberal media, and all the Democrats and the Republican establishment. Now, for the last year, I've talked about this many times on the program. For the last year, the left, including, when I say the left, I mean even the Republican establishment, Democrat establishment, the media, the left have left Ron DeSantis completely alone and have been giving him a free pass for a year, even though he's been doing very good conservative stuff, because they've had this great MAGA divide thing that they've wanted to push all the time. And they wanted us to say, you know, Trump is too divisive. You want DeSantis. He supports everything Trump supports, but he's not so divisive. And I told you guys immediately when he becomes like a candidate, he's going to be a Nazi to them. He's going to be all these things. Well, they've not able to control themselves because of what he's done with the Martha's Vineyard flight. And what they were planning on doing like in a year, they're doing now. So because they can't control themselves.
Well, they did with Trump, if you remember, when he was running as a candidate, as one of the many candidates in the primary,
one of the 15, I think.
And they knew Hillary was going to have the nomination, and whoever was going to win would run against her. And they were very nice to Trump. And I remember saying to you, God, the media is like really handling him with kid gloves and and all this stuff. And it was because Hillary told them to do that because she figured I'll kick his butt. I mean, I'll beat him so easily. Let him win. Let him have a free ride. I want him to be the nominee. Well, I don't think the media could have influenced that in any way, shape, or form, just like DeSantis. Trump and DeSantis are, the media has no effect on them. They are forces of nature, those two guys. DeSantis is just as strong as Trump. He is just as confident. He is just as triggering to the left. He has all those qualities. He's fearless. He has confidence, and he is so intelligent.
Oh, yeah.
And the way he operates is, and it's so easy, really, but he knows everything that's going on. He's a very smart man. All you have to do to defeat the left is point out their hypocrisy, because they live in a world of hypocrisy. Everything they do is the opposite of what they say, and vice versa. And that's all you have to do. And did you see that Charlemagne the God had complimented DeSantis, saying what he did was a great move, and it showed the hypocrisy of the left.
Well,
and he's right.
So right now, as we speak, now by the time you're listening to the program, this may have already happened, but it's going on right now as we speak. Listen to this. Delaware's governor has said that the state of Delaware is preparing for migrants that may be sent to Biden's home state of Delaware by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis as the exact plane, which was flown to Martha's Vineyard, heads towards Georgetown Airport. So right now there's a plane in flight filled with migrants, it's being reported, and it is going to touch down possibly Delaware, possibly Martha's Vineyard. No one has been told. Ron DeSantis knows because he sent the plane. They are in a panic. So today, a reporter did something which is very stupid. They challenged Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, that is stupid.
And Ron DeSantis is he's the kind of guy that you all hate. We all hate, right? He's brilliant. He's an athlete. He's a lawyer. He was with the Navy SEALs.
He's good looking.
He played in the Little League World Series. He's just Mr. Perfect, you know?
He is Mr. Perfect.
Oh, my God. He makes me sick. He's like the Letterman.
You're Mr. Perfect, too, to me.
He's
anyway.
like the Letterman in high school.
He's all-American. He's the all-American guy.
Yeah, yeah. And he is so brilliant. He's so brilliant. So this reporter, I'm going to play this. We'll talk about it as it goes on. It's beautiful. I was just going to take a clip or two of it. And as I was listening to it, I was like, this is so good. We got to play the whole thing. So this is DeSantis today, just totally just devastating the life and ego of this reporter. These liberal reporters think they're so smart because they went to Harvard, Yale, Columbia School of Journalism. And all they learned was how to be liberal hacks.
Yeah, but you know what? He went to Harvard too.
Yeah, and he's very smart.
So he's smart too.
He just fillets this reporter. Exactly. So listen to this. This is Governor DeSantis, our governor, today with this lib reporter.
Yes.
Okay, so Hakeem Jeffries, he's another beaut. I know her audio is not very good, so I'll tell you what she asked him. And Governor DeSantis, you can hear him clearly, okay? She said, Jeffries said that you and Governor Abbott need to start acting like governors and not human traffickers.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, keep in mind, it's Biden's son, Hunter, that's got the hookers, the Russian hookers in his house up in there in Virginia, wherever that is. It's Biden who has hundreds of thousands of women coming across the border and children and men.
According to the laptop from hell, he paid for one of those hookers on Joe Biden's credit card.
That's right. He's paying for hookers.
So who's involved in human trafficking here?
Exactly. But DeSantis and Abbott, they're the human traffickers. But anyway, so DeSantis is, you need to start acting like governors and not human traffickers. Listen to this.
First, what is your response to that? And second, is there a second migrant flight going from Texas to Delaware right now?
So when Biden is flying these people all over the fruited plain in the middle of the night, I didn't hear a peep out of those people, okay? I didn't hear a peep.
See, now that's a good one because Biden's been doing this since he's been in the White House. And so what DeSantis is doing is just on a very, very small scale what Biden's been doing all this time. And since no one in the media, and did it at night in secret, so since no one in the media or any Democrats called him out, they look like idiots calling out DeSantis.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard a peep about all the people that have been told by Biden you can just come in, and they're being abused by the cartels. They're drowning in the Rio Grande. You had 50 that died in some shed in Texas. I heard no outrage about any of that. I haven't heard outrage about all the fentanyl that's come across the border that's killing Americans in record numbers. I don't hear outrage about the criminal aliens that have gotten through and have then victimized people, not only in Florida, but all throughout the country. I didn't hear any outrage about that. The only thing I hear them getting upset about is you have 50 that end up in Martha's Vineyard. Then they get really upset. And I'm sorry. Those migrants were being treated horribly by Biden. They were hungry, homeless. They had no opportunity at all. The state of Florida, it was volunteer, offered transport to sanctuary jurisdictions.
Okay, so this is good stuff. It was all volunteer, which means they ask them, they sign off on it and everything. And they have people who speak Spanish. In fact, our lieutenant governor is a fluent Spanish speaker. I've only heard her speak English once. She does like Spanish translations at the press conference. You see her, she's at most of DeSantis's press conferences. She's off to the left or the right, and she's just, she's a Hispanic woman, and she's just looking at him in awe. And she doesn't talk very much. But
he's sending them to sanctuary states.
Yeah.
They are supposed to, because they're liberals, and they're the one that enact these laws. They are supposed to embrace these people, but I think you're going to start. He caught them off guard. And they saw that it was a really bad look what they did. They don't want them there, but they threw them out the day later. Now you're going to see a totally different tactic from the left. They're going to act all nice and embrace them and take them in and all this stuff.
Don't be so sure about that.
Well, we'll see what happens with this next group that's going to Delaware.
Don't be so sure. You know, when people are...
If they're smart, but you're right, they're not
When people
smart.
are consumed with rage and anger and Trump and DeSantis derangement, they don't think very clearly. So DeSantis is going on with this reporter.
DeSantis derangement syndrome.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
Because it's our view that, one, the border should be secured, and we want to have Biden reinstitute policies like remain in Mexico and making sure that people aren't overwhelming. But short of that, if you believe in open borders, then it's the sanctuary jurisdictions that should have to bear the brunt of the open borders. So that's what we're doing. But what happened was they were provided an ability to be in the most posh sanctuary jurisdiction maybe in the world. And obviously it's sad that Martha's Vineyard people deported them the next day. They could have absorbed this. They chose not to. But what it shows is if 50 was a burden on one of the richest places in our country, what about all these other communities that have been overrun with hundreds or thousands? It shows you when now these policies are on the front burner. People need to be talking about Biden can't defend his policies of open borders. It's doing huge damage to our country. It's costing a lot of money. It's costing lives with the drugs that are pouring across. And so the question is why are you supporting Biden's policies? Why don't you step up and tell him you're failing and let's do it differently? Because you know what? He inherited a border that wasn't like this. He has created the crisis. But now at least we know nobody can deny that there's a crisis. Everybody now knows, and it was only because you had to have the elite who want to have the cost on everybody else, and they don't want to have to shoulder that. That's the only reason now people are talking about this.
Yeah, I mean, this is that is just beautiful, and you know that press conference is just causing a news meltdown.
Yeah, that was in Bradenton, and he's all over the place. And
he has a press conference a day in Florida.
All the time.
Always.
The guy works so hard.
Not just now.
His family travels with him, too. His kids are always with him. And he's right. They can't defend Biden's policies. Liberals can never defend their policies. So what they do is they name call and they throw out slurs. Like he also talks about in that press conference how somebody compared it to Auschwitz and sending people to Auschwitz. And he said, has the world lost its mind? He said, that's insane to compare those two. And that's what they do. And he said they can't defend Biden's policies, so they make these outrageous statements. They call you a bigot. They call you a racist because they can't come back at you and say, you know what, he is screwing up. So instead of doing that, they get defensive and they're like, yeah, well, you're a bigot. I mean, that's all they have on that they can say.
You know, right now,
it's not true.
as the governor of Delaware has the state police out to capture these people that they
oh my goodness,
you know, they're a sanctuary city and sanctuary state until they are, and then they're not anymore. And
exactly,
you know, this is going to cause a big problem inside the Democrat Party because a lot of people in the Democrat Party actually believe these people should actually be offered sanctuary, not just this virtue signaling that they do up Northeast. And this is going to start causing big divisions among like people like the Squad. They're going to get pretty outraged at this. This is really a great time, and you know the Democrats are imploding. The Democrat Party would be in better shape today as a party if Donald Trump were in office because things are so bad. You're seeing this going on, inflation. You know,
DeSantis is not making them look bad. They're making themselves
because
look
they
bad
have no sense
by their actions. They react. They don't think, and all they want to do is the opposite of what we do. No matter what it is, they want to do the exact opposite. Even if it's a horrible idea, they don't care. As long as it doesn't align with anything we want to do or believe in, they're going to go ahead. And that's why they've become so radicalized because everything we do is common sense. So they're going to do the exact opposite of common sense, and they do things that make no sense. They don't care if it makes no sense. It's just anti-Trump, anti-DeSantis. That's all they care about. And that's why people are leaving their party in droves because they're nutcases.
That's right. That's right. This is a great time, and these liberals, since they have no sense, their bigotry against the migrants that they tell us they want to embrace. They want to embrace them as long as they're in Texas and Arizona and Florida.
They didn't even turn around more than 24 hours when they had kicked them out of there. That was incredible. They didn't even keep them for a week or a few days to like get them, medical care or get them, where do you need to go? I mean, so here's the question for them. Where did they send them to a place? Did they get to choose where they sent them?
They sent them to a military base.
Okay, did they get to
so
choose
they're in
that?
the custody of the military.
Exactly.
That's
did those
awful.
migrants get to choose that place?
No, they're
they did with DeSantis?
They're basically prisoners of the military right now. I guess it's like a Gitmo kind of situation they got going on now with these migrants at this base. Where
now I really do feel bad for them.
This is a lot like if you ever saw the first Rambo when Rambo comes to town.
Yeah.
And Brian Dennehy's the sheriff, and he gives him a ride, and then he drops him off out of town and says, "Don't come back." And he goes, "We don't want you. We support our veterans, but we don't want our veterans here." This is so beautiful, and really, the way that the Democrats are reacting, it's not only beautiful. This is how the Democrats reacted when the schools were being desegregated by the Republicans. All that footage you would see of the first black students going into schools, and you'd see those Democrats
spitting on them,
screaming racial slurs at them. That's what happened in Martha's Vineyard.
They have not changed one bit.
And the governor of Delaware is acting the same way right now.
That's right. And the reason
Lester Maddox, this guy.
Is because the Democratic Party draws a certain type of personality to the party. They like people that like to put people in boxes. Well, you're this, you're that, and they categorize
as long as the box is in a Martha's Vineyard.
Right, and they like control, they like power,
Mm-hmm.
they're unhappy, they're angry, they're bitter.
Bigots.
And they're racist. I mean, that's, they always have been, and you're right, the people that were spitting, I don't understand how the black community, how they were so easily bamboozled to believe that the Democratic Party was a good thing.
Never.
I mean, don't they understand the history of that party? You're right. They were the people in Alabama spitting on those black students. They were all Democrats. They were the ones that owned the slaves.
Mm-hmm.
They were the ones of Jim Crow. They were in the KKK. How did the Democrats convince them that they were the good guys?
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
That's right.
Please explain this to me.
Now, I got a bit of an announcement I'm going to make here in just a second, but I want to first thank our Patreon supporters. And the announcement involves our Patreon supporters and our Patreon as a whole. I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters for your support. It is greatly appreciated. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, and Coral Springs. I wore this hat to the radio today. You saw me wear it on YouTube. I got it here in my hand now. Gary in Coral Springs, one of our top Patreon supporters, gave me this hat. Trump DeSantis 24, Make America Florida. I love this hat. Gary, thank you so much. ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, and Macho. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the description of this and every episode on whatever platform you're listening to us on that takes you to our Patreon page. Now, I want to make a bit of announcement about Patreon and a lot of things going on. The show is just getting huge, okay?
Yeah.
And Kathy and I started this podcast 10 years
on
ago.
On a shoestring budget.
And we never dreamed it would become as big as it has, and it is so awesome, and we appreciate all of your support. Mm-hmm. But it's gotten there's too much going on for me to handle everything, and with Kathy, between social media, Patreon, the podcast, I have my YouTube channel,
marketing, and all this stuff.
And plus I've got to do the radio show every day, 5 days a week, and there's a whole business thing going on around that. And you guys know we've gone through a major expansion on the radio.
Yeah.
And
a lot going on. Well, you're busy with the radio too, busier meeting new clients and stuff like that too.
I am busier. I am 4 to 5 times busier on the radio show today than I have been ever because of our expansion and everything. So our daughter Emily is getting involved in the family business here with the podcast and everything and all the content that we put together, YouTube and everything else. And she's helping us reorganize everything that we do, and a lot of you guys don't know, my daughter who's going to be on the cruise with us, by the way, in January, if you've not met her yet, she's been on past cruises. She's gone on a couple of the cruises with me in the past. A lot of you have met her there. She's involved heavily in her work life doing things that involve this type of stuff. So she's got some expertise in it. So she's
very good at social media marketing.
Yeah. So she is starting to take over some of this stuff in the background, the business end that is just too overwhelming for me and Kathy to handle because the podcast gotten so popular, especially in the explosion of the radio show. And so she is making things much more professional and organized than they ever have been. And it's starting with our Patreon. So those of you that are Patreon supporters.
She redid your website.
Yeah, she did
that first. That took her like a week.
Yeah, last week she launched BrianCraigShow.com, which I've had that website for a long time. She updated my entire website, BrianCraigShow.com.
It's really good.
So if you've not seen my updated website, go check it out, BrianCraigShow.com. She did that first.
She did the whole thing.
And she's in the process of making our Patreon bigger. And that
she restructured it so it's easier to understand.
We'll give you
more tiers and things like that.
We'll give you more details later because it's almost ready to launch. It started to already. If you go to the Patreon page, there's been some
changes.
updates. But she's relaunching our Patreon page so that we can offer more content, more consistently, and better content. And,
she gave us some ideas of things we can do,
and more exclusive content just for Patreon supporters.
Right.
And so those of you that are Patreon supporters, you'll see an announcement on the Patreon page soon, if not today, tomorrow. And we'll be updating the different tier levels on Patreon and everything. So look for that. And if any of you have any questions, please contact Kathy and me. You can contact us through Patreon or if you have another way that you contact us, you
through
can
the website.
Do that.
They can also, we're building up an email list.
Yeah.
And you can email us. You can contact us directly through the website.
We're just getting a little more organized and professional because things
set up an email through the website. It's like Brian at Brian Craig Show or something. And it's
don't say what we don't know what it is. You don't want to say.
But you don't need to know. All you do is you go to the website and hit contact.
Yeah.
And it goes to some email that she monitors and we get. So she set us up with a whole thing.
So the first thing she did was build me a new website at BrianCraigShow.com. It's the same address I've always had, just a brand new website. So check that out. Stage 2 is she's updating the Patreon, and the main reason that she's taking over the Patreon really because restructure because I don't have to, I just can't. I got too much going on, and so those of you that are Patreon supporters, there'll be an announcement on the Patreon page explaining everything, and please contact us if you have any questions. And there'll be more content. Better content to Patreon supporters and more consistent content because now we're getting
so
help.
There's some changes.
Yeah.
Just roll with it for a little while because Emily's rebranding things and doing things differently. So if there's some change or things going on, just know that's what's happening.
Yeah, and I know a lot of but please feel free to reach out to us with any questions as this goes on, okay?
Anytime.
Now listen, we're going to take a quick break. Oh man. Don Lemon.
Oh, God.
This has been the worst week of Don Lemon's life. This week is worse for Don Lemon than when he got drunk on New Year's Eve on CNN in New Orleans and started talking about how bad his love life was. Remember that? Oh, my goodness. This is worse.
He's a train wreck.
Something happened on Don Lemon's show that left him
I can't wait.
Speechless. We're going to get to that. And we got a whole bunch more, too. All right? It's the Brian Craig Show. I'm Brian Craig. Always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
From author Edward Nichols comes Insane Angels, available on Amazon. In Insane Angels, meet Michael Flagg, a hard-working, hard-partying Washington, D.C. medical student who wakes up one morning to a life-changing event. He discovers that he has acquired a halo. His girlfriend, Cheryl, suggests that he cash in on it, but Michael is more interested in answers. What caused the halo? Is he a holy man? Or is there something darker at work? To Cheryl, it's an opportunity. To Michael, it's a problem. When a clandestine government agency is tasked by the president to get to the bottom of the mystery, its deputy director, a rogue agent in no mood to babysit the haloed man, suddenly sees him as an existential threat. Now, Michael really has a problem. And even worse, unexpectedly begins to believe in the hysteria that now surrounds him. Insane Angels, a thriller that takes a short satirical look at our ego, false religions, love, Spies, and Redemption. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Insane Angels from author Edward Nichols. Available on Kindle and paperback. It's time to get your life organized. With Mommy 2 Genesis on Etsy, that's Genesis, you will find printable planners that are perfect for getting your busy life under control. Whether you need a social media planner, planners for fitness, or study planners, Mommy's 2 Genesis on Etsy can help. The social media planner is perfect for you small business owners. It's designed with small shop owners in mind and allows you to plan out specific details of your social media accounts to gain more followers and interactions. The fitness planner is great to take notes with. Plan your workouts, your fitness goals, log your workout, track your sleep, calories, habits, manage meal plans, set goals, and achieve your sport results. It has everything you need to get fit and take your health to the next level. Start shopping right now. Mommy 2 Genesis, that's all one word, on Etsy. That's Genesis. Mommy 2 Genesis on Etsy.com. Stand by for an IEO announcement. The initial exchange offering for the S39 token is here. S39 is a community-driven token that has evolved into a prosperous ecosystem, and you can be a part of it. S39 token is a gold peg token and backed up commodities projects. It's available on the Findex Exchange, the digital marketplace that allows users to make transactions with the S39 token. At the Findex Exchange, users can buy and sell all of the assets in the S39 ecosystem. Take advantage of this initial exchange offering today and be a part of all S39 projects. There are over 100 of them. Go right now to findexexchange.net. That's FINDEXX and learn how you can participate. Learn more about the S39 token and read the white paper at S39token.com. Make sure to tell all your friends about S39 token's initial exchange offering too. S39 token, a community-driven token that has evolved into a prosperous ecosystem.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Before we get to Don Lemon, this is just a short thing. Liz Cheney has begun her new career. Her new career is to spend the rest of her life bashing Donald Trump.
Yeah, so
and
sad.
I got a clip here.
Oh, that could be lucrative for her.
Yeah, it's all she's got. But this is a tiny little clip, and it's from a very long-winded thing, okay, which I'm not going to play. Just going to play you this clip. And she was talking about, on January 6th, before the Capitol breach, she was talking to Republican members of Congress, and they were upset with Donald Trump. And this was on January 6th, before the breach. And she claims that an unnamed Republican congressman used this wording describing Donald Trump. Okay, listen to this. This is Liz Cheney today in her post-congressional career. Her career is now to be a Trump derangement sufferer who wanders through America at speaking events, bashing Trump to anyone who will listen. Listen to this. It's real short.
And then he said under his breath, "The things we do for the orange Jesus."
The orange. Do you believe that any Republican member of Congress?
No, she's making that up.
You know,
she's a really sad. Just look at her. She looks like a sad person.
Her poor husband.
She looks sad, unhappy, miserable. She never smiles. She talks sad. She sounds sad. She looks sad. I can't stand her. She's got to be the most miserable person to be around, and she will fade off into obscurity. And she'll become another Harry Reid. Bye, Felicia.
Yeah, well, you know, Liz Cheney,
Hasta la vista.
I watched her whole talk that I took this out of, all right?
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Well,
you are dedicated to your job.
Well, I heard about what she said, but it didn't tell me where in the talk she said it. So, you know.
I had to go fishing for that.
But right after it, I stopped it. When that happened, that was it. That was it. And I cut it out. I didn't want to hear anything else. But when I saw her, she reminded me of Mary Trump. And this is what's happened.
Yes, she's just like her.
Liz Cheney, she's supposed to be a big deal in the Republican Party. She's a legacy. She inherited it. She thinks she's part of like the Game of Thrones, right? She's inherited it from her father and all of this.
Yeah,
and
like the Bushes and the
Clintons. her family have been deposed by this Trump family. And she's out, and she's just very bitter about it. But I don't believe that. Let me tell you why I don't.
That's probably what she calls Trump.
Let me tell you why I don't believe a sitting Republican said that, okay?
No, neither.
The language, the orange Jesus, there's two reasons why. That term, which I find very offensive because of what it says about Jesus.
Yes.
But that is a term that you have to be consumed and filled with rage and hate towards Trump to call him that. Okay,
no,
so you gotta have a it would have to be a Republican that fit two categories: as angry and as a Republican, she said, as angry and as consumed with hate of Donald Trump as she is,
right.
And also Republicans for the most part are Christians. It has to be a Christian that is in a borderline taking the Lord's name in vain.
Maybe it was Kinzinger. They're kindred spirits.
That would be the only possibility.
He's
but
the only one
it's
I
too
would think
clever.
that would,
No, because he wouldn't do anything for Trump. It wasn't him. It would have to be someone who's pretending. It had to be a Republican who hates Trump as much as her. There's not many of those who is willing to do something for Trump and to say something negative about Jesus. And that person doesn't exist outside of her. So, I don't believe her. All right, so let's get to this thing with Don Lemon. This was beautiful. So Don Lemon has this liberal woman on, and they're talking about reparations. Reparations used to be talked about endlessly in the 90s, and it disappeared, but now with the death of Queen Elizabeth, they're all into reparations. So Don Lemon has this reparations expert on. I don't know exactly who she is. She sounds like a college professor. And she says something that just totally leaves Don Lemon speechless. Do you want me to just play it, or do you want me to tell you what she said that left him speechless? What should I do? Should I just play it?
Play it.
Okay, I'll just play it, and you'll hear it come up. But we'll stop as we go. But this is good stuff. This is last night on Don Lemon's show.
Well, this is coming when, there's all of this wealth, and you hear about it comes as England is facing rising costs of living, a living crisis, austerity budget cuts, and so on. And then you have those who are asking for reparations for colonialism, and they're wondering, $100 billion, $24 billion here and there, $500 million there. Some people want to be paid back, and members of the public are wondering, why are we suffering when you are, you have all of this vast wealth? Those are legitimate concerns.
Okay, so he threw that out to
Who's the guest?
This intellectual liberal. So Don Lemon threw that out. That's considered a softball, just generic stuff, and she's a liberal. So he expects her to just yes him on everything he says, and then she does, but she brings up an aspect of reparations that he doesn't want to hear about. This is what left him speechless, you'll hear.
Well, I think you're right about reparations in terms of if people want it, though, what they need to do is you always need to go back to the beginning of a supply chain. Where was the beginning of the supply chain? That was in Africa. And across the entire world, when the slavery was taking place, which was the first nation in the world that abolished slavery? The first nation in the world to abolish it. It was started by William Wilberforce, was the British. In Great Britain, they abolished slavery.
Yeah, now that's true. The Brits, and he, I believe, was a prime minister, they ended slavery about 30 years before we did without a civil war. And, but she's into the supply chain. Where did the supply chain begin? And she said Africa.
That's right.
2,000 naval men died on the high seas trying to stop slavery. Why? Because the African kings were rounding up their own people. Right. They had them on cages waiting in the beaches. No one was running into Africa to get them. And I think you're totally right. If reparations need to be paid, we need to go right back to the beginning of that supply chain and say who was rounding up their own people and having them handcuffed in cages. Absolutely. That's where they should start. And maybe, I don't know, the descendants of those families where they died in the high seas trying to stop the slavery, that those families should receive something too, I think, at the same time.
It's an interesting discussion, Hillary. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
He got rid of her.
To discuss in the future.
Okay, yeah. So she's obviously British, and she's educated in England, and she's got a good education. She learned about the real truth that they don't teach at American universities about slavery and the supply chain.
She handled that so
He was in
cleverly
shock
because that was really good what she did because.
Man.
She kind of gave the impression that she was agreeing with him.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. We should this. But she threw in this little detail with it. Like, you know what I mean? It was very clever how she did that, and she's absolutely right. There were a lot of factors that went on with slavery, and as I said on yesterday's show, every continent has a history of slavery, and some still do. And the fact is, and you see this in Roots, and I read the book Roots, and the whole beginning is a lot about Kunta Kinte and his childhood, and it's very good. And the fact is that in Africa, they played a huge, huge part in their own people being sent into slavery. They would capture them, the rival tribes, and they would put them in cages and in chains, and they would sell them to the Portuguese, to the British, to the Dutch, and they would in turn then take it. So it did originate there, and the African people helped facilitate the business of slavery. There is no doubt about that. But people seem to forget that aspect, and they seem to want to ignore that aspect. If it wasn't for that happening, do you think slavery would have been as productive and as lucrative as it was? They needed the cooperation of those African kings and those tribes to help them round those people up. They needed that help. Do you think that the Portuguese could have gone into Africa and rounded up those people on their own?
Yeah,
no, they needed the help from those other African tribes. They totally facilitated that and had an active participation in that business.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so, after that appearance on Don Lemon, you're going to see CNN stop talking about reparations. See, they thought in England that all the reparations advocates agreed with them, and and this woman agrees that there should be reparations. She just thinks the Africans should be paying part of it, not England.
And she thinks that all the British soldiers, sailors that died, and let's throw in all the North Civil War soldiers that died, all the thousands and tens of thousands of young men.
500,000 died in the Civil War.
Yeah, let's throw in those guys on the Union side.
I had family in the Union Army.
Yeah,
maybe
so maybe you'll get reparations too.
That'd be awesome.
Well, and Emily's, she's black, so the two of you can get reparations. We'll be sitting pretty here.
That's right.
I won't get anything.
Yeah.
But, she's right. You go to the source and let's give reparations to the people that died, to their families. I mean, it's a slippery slope. Where does it end? It's ridiculous. Do we give Jews reparations for Germany too? Or what about the Jews? The Jews deserve more than anybody. They were enslaved in Egypt. I mean, where does this end here?
Well, I just found some breaking news from President Trump. And after the break, I'm going to share this with you. This is huge. It just broke just seconds ago, so stand by for that. Now, today, Mike Lindell, who was raided by the FBI last week in a raid after leaving that Hardee's drive-thru, they took his phone, boxed his car. I mean, what he went through was crazy. It was like he was Walter White. Walter White was Bryan Cranston in Breaking Bad, if you don't know. And it was insane. Today, he's filing suit against the FBI, Justice Department, the U.S. government. And Mike Lindell has put together a legal team led by Alan Dershowitz. So this is huge stuff. And Mike Lindell's been kicked out of all the big retailers. You guys know this. Home Shopping, Walmart, all of them. And when you go to MyPillow.com and you use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, of course you're supporting all the content, the podcast here with me and Kathy, my YouTube channel, the Steve Kane Radio Show. When you use our promo code Kane, you're supporting any content that I'm connected to. And you're also supporting Mike Lindell. Using the promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at MyPillow.com, MyPillow, it's almost like becoming a legal defense fund. Mike Lindell's got this lawsuit against the government that he's filing today. He's being sued personally for billions of dollars. His company is being sued for billions of dollars. And, Christmas is coming up. Okay? It may not be officially Christmas shopping season yet, but at MyPillow.com with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, you can save up to 66% off on the items at MyPillow.com. The MyPillow mattress topper is its lowest price ever. 50% off the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper. That's the mattress topper Kathy and I have. That will change your life. Incredible price, low prices on so many top MyPillow products, including the towels that are very low price. The MyPillow 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets are their lowest price ever with the promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. Now, listen, you can take advantage of all the specials at MyPillow.com with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. So go to MyPillow.com and you can take advantage of all the specials you see there, not just the ones I highlighted. Support Mike Lindell. support Mike Lindell's legal fight against these terrible forces that he's up against because he supports President Trump and is one of the top leaders in the MAGA movement. Promo code Kane, Kane, at checkout at mypillow.com. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, huge breaking news involving President Trump, so do not go anywhere.
Cancer is something that sadly touches all our lives, and when it affects young people, it's especially distressing. Josh has organized a GoFundMe for his partner Brandy, who was recently diagnosed with B-cell lymphoblastic leukemia. Brandy has been working in the healthcare industry as an interventional radiology technologist. She's dedicated her life to helping others inside and outside of work and has the biggest heart. Josh is asking for help to ensure that Brandy can focus all of her energy on the battle ahead instead of worrying about the price tag attached to her healthcare. Your support would mean so much to her. You can help Brandy by donating to her GoFundMe at gofundme.com/BrandyClipping. That's gofundme.com/BrandyKlipping. gofundme.com/BrandyClipping and help Brandy beat cancer. The world is a beautiful place just waiting to be explored. The online store, earthswrap.com, assists you to explore the most beautiful places in the world. They carry sleeping accessories, kitchen items, tents, hiking shoes, and much, much more. These are premium quality products that will set you up to explore every part of the world you want to go with ease and preparedness. When you visit the shop, make sure to check out their amazing hiking backpacks, travel bags, outdoor jackets, and hammocks. They offer competitive prices and incredible customer service. Start shopping today so you can explore tomorrow. earthswrap.com. Like many parents these days, you may be homeschooling your children, but did you know there are ways you can make it easy and fun? The book, Homeschooling Simplified, from author Amber M. Schimmel, is the perfect book for any mom who's looking for more joy and simplicity in her homeschooling life. Whether you've been homeschooling for 10 years or 10 minutes, this must-read book has fun and practical ways to bring more ease and simplicity into your day. Homeschooling Simplified has simple homeschool daily schedules, flowcharts for circle time, as well as tips on how to spend more time together, including a step-by-step guide to create homeschooling portfolios. There are chapters on circle time, homeschooling in the teen years, and how to be a working mom while homeschooling. There's something for everyone. It's written by a mom of 5 and university professor who has been homeschooling all her children for over 13 years. This is a practical and relatable guide for moms in every stage of life. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Homeschooling Simplified, from author Amber M. Schimmel. There's no doubt about it. We live in a digital age, and if you own a business, digital marketing is your key to success. The book, Shortcuts to Digital Marketing, available on Amazon, is the perfect book for anyone looking to learn new skills or hone existing ones when it comes to digital marketing. In Shortcuts to Digital Marketing, you will learn everything you need to know about digital marketing, the latest updates and tools, and how to become a leading digital marketer. It's filled with insights and strategies for business owners, marketing professionals, students, and anyone else looking to hone their current skills and get up to speed on the latest in digital marketing. In this must-read book, you will find a website design guide, as well as different digital marketing tools. Learn to plan and execute your digital marketing strategies, as well as learn to create videos, content, and a social media content calendar. And that's just the beginning. Take your business to the next level and order your copy of this practical book, Shortcuts to Digital Marketing, available in Kindle and paperback on Amazon.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. All right, so President Trump called into Newsmax and today and really broke some major news involving the break-in. Now, it's been reported that by Eric Trump, right, that they have videotapes. Well, I guess they're not videotapes. They have recordings. I'm sure it's digital. But they have recordings, visual recordings of the ransacking of Mar-A-Lago when the FBI broke in. So he went on Newsmax today, President Trump. He phoned in and they asked him why he's not releasing the tapes. He gave an answer, and I'll tell you why I think he's doing this. This is amazing. This is huge news. Here he is, President Trump on Newsmax TV today.
Mr. President, we keep hearing about video recordings at Mar-A-Lago that would have captured the raid. Have you had conversations about releasing that footage?
Yes, we have, and they would rather have me not do it because of the safety of the FBI agents that swarmed the place. And I don't think they wanted to swarm it, if you want to know the truth. I have a great relationship with people in the FBI, but they didn't. We are very precise, and you know, it's not a pretty picture either. It looks like a military coup. It's not a pretty picture. But they didn't want. They wanted to, for the safety of the people that are on the footage. It's very clear, and for the safety of the people that are on the footage, they've asked us not to put it out, but we do have it. Yeah.
Okay. This is another example of how smart Donald Trump is. He is so smart. Okay. He said he's not releasing it because of the safety of the FBI agents. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people will say, and I know they're already saying it because I was just looking at some comments on social media during the break about it. Oh, that's the mainstream media line. He's selling this out. No. The last few weeks, there's been stories of FBI whistleblowers that have been coming forward. Okay. And they don't approve of what's going on here, and they want to talk about it. And some of them might have been there. Well, even if they're not, they understand that fellow FBI agents, and I know that this just following orders thing. I know about Nuremberg, okay, but a lot of these guys got wrapped up in doing something that they knew wasn't right, or they felt bad about after. But even if all of those agents that broke into Mar-a-Lago are never Trumper, filled with Trump rage, other FBI agents still understand the dangers. FBI agents, for the most part, are not nationally known figures. So these whistleblowers and people that understand the troubles that's going. This is a corrupt thing going on in the Justice Department. This break into Mar-a-Lago and the Mueller investigation and the dossier. You know, so
he's trying to protect these people.
He's
smart.
What he's doing is he's letting FBI agents, these whistleblowers, know we're going to protect the identity of these people and not ruin their careers by making them household names and putting the video out. Because even if their faces are blocked out, you can still, if you know them, you know them. You know,
he's got good cameras at Mar-a-Lago.
Absolutely, I mean, the best.
Probably high definition
and made of gold.
They're not like the cameras at Walgreens or Walmart. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, the Walmart cameras are pretty good, but I bet his are. You ever watch ID? They catch a lot.
They're a little better than they used to be, but the cameras I'm talking about, they're all grainy.
Oh no, they're not like that.
He's like a shadow.
No,
these are probably very high def.
So President Trump is doing this to reach out to these whistleblowers and say, "Listen, we're not going to blame you guys. We know we got to corrupt. You got corrupt leadership over there. You got a corrupt attorney general. You got to corrupt Biden. We're not going to destroy the careers of these people and make them nationally known people. We're going to protect their identities.
There's bigger fish to fry
so,
anyway.
Come forward. Let's stop this. And I think that's a pretty brilliant move of Donald Trump. And it shows,
I think you're right about that.
These Trump haters, they like to think that President Trump is emotional and out of control and erratic. He is very cool, calm, collected, and calculating.
Look at everything he has been through. Have you ever seen him lose his mind like Biden has? Biden starts screaming and yelling at somebody when they ask him a question he doesn't like. He starts ranting and raving like a lunatic. But Trump has been put through the ringer, put through hell. They won't leave him alone. They're making up these horrible lies about him. Once in a while, he might talk a little louder, but I've never seen him lose his temper or start screaming at people or yelling in their face. Like Biden does, or you know what I'm saying? He's just a grouchy old man. Well,
yeah, and
Biden, that is. Not Trump.
Yeah, and when he's not yelling, he's whispering.
He's got two extremes.
There's an article I saw today.
Creepier.
Yeah, there's an article I saw today in the Epic Times about inflation. I'm not going to read the article, but just the headline, because that's all you need. I mean, this is how bad it is. Listen to this. $1 at the start of Biden's term, so that's on Inauguration Day, right? $1 on the day of Biden's inauguration is now only worth 88 cents.
That's how what it was like. I remember in the 70s. I remember with Jimmy Carter, my parents talking about the dollar being worth like 75 cents or was really not worth as much. And I remember my mom talking about it because she's Canadian and she talked about the exchange rate. And she would say the American dollar is always worth more, but, now it's not, it's worth less. So that's what's happening here. And that's what happens with inflation. The dollar shrinks, the value of the dollar. And that affects a lot in our economy. But they're going to come on TV and tell you everything's wonderful, everything's great. They're never going to admit they've done anything wrong, and they're never going to fix anything. Speaking of inflation, DeSantis, this real quick before we go, this is how amazing this guy is. We're in a surplus in this state.
Florida,
it's like
here in Florida.
In Florida. Last time I checked, it was $15 billion. It's probably more by now, probably up to $20 billion of a surplus. So what does DeSantis do? He's given raises to nurses, teachers, first responders. He has given the money back to the people. That's what a politician is supposed to do. He is also, he's getting rid of the toll on the turnpike. Let me tell you, tolls are not cheap. He's getting rid of the tolls for people that drive a certain amount. Like my brother-in-law drives from Miami to Boca every day in his Tesla. He's getting
he can
rid
afford
of
the tolls.
Yeah, he's getting rid of tolls for people that use the system more than like 25 times a month.
Wow.
He's not getting rid. He's giving him a discount. I'm sorry. He's getting them a discount of like 20 or 30%. I misspoke. That's significant
huge.
over
It's
the
expensive.
course of a year. Also, what he's doing, now this is interesting. It says here, this is an article I'm reading. Flush with state budget reserves and running for re-election, Governor Ron DeSantis touted a $1.1 billion package of what he called family-friendly tax breaks that he wants approved for next year. So he is proposing this for the Republican legislature to pass. We have a 7% state sales tax. So he wants to eliminate.
Really? Our sales tax is 7%?
Yeah. I didn't know that either. He wants to, so they sneak it in on you. He wants to eliminate permanently tax on diapers, strollers, cribs, medical supplies and equipment, along with over-the-counter pet medications. A permanent ban on sales tax for those items. And then he wants a temporary ban for 1 year on household items costing $25 or less, including children's toys, books, athletic equipment used by youngsters up to 18, and 4 weeks of back-to-school holidays, adding a spring semester round to the summer break, whatever. I don't understand that part. But anyway, so he wants to eliminate the sales tax completely for diapers, cribs, things like that, medical supplies, and pets medical supplies. And then, like I said, then a temporary on things under $25. That is what you do when your state is in a surplus, because what he is saying is we don't need all this tax revenue. We have so much. We have a huge surplus. Let me give you a break now so you can enjoy the fruits of our labor. We have so many people. This is, he got Gavin Newsom coming on TV bashing DeSantis. You think they got a surplus in California? They had to turn off their grid a couple weeks ago and ask everybody to turn their air conditioner up to 80 degrees because they had a brownout because they can't afford anything. No, we have a surplus because all the people that moved here during COVID and after COVID, that is why we have such a surplus now. All the businesses DeSantis has brought here. We've become a very business-friendly place. You know how many times I see on the local news businesses that have moved here from California they literally go on TV and they're like, I love it here. This is like the best place to have a business. I'm thriving. I'm not dying in taxes or all this stuff. This is what you do when your state is in a surplus. And he is amazing. And I got to tell you, I honestly wake up every day just thanking God that he is my governor, because he really is the best governor you could have. He's
great.
I feel bad for other people that they don't have him. Imagine him when he becomes president, what he can do to this country.
Yeah,
he's incredible. He will turn the whole country around.
This is amazing because
after Trump,
in Florida, we have no state income tax.
Yeah.
And Florida has a surplus, which is really a sales tax and things like this. See, the government shouldn't have surplus. The government is not a business that's in the business of making a profit.
Exactly. And that's how he thinks.
Yeah.
He thinks, look, we're in a major surplus and we're, like you said, we're not supposed to make a profit. So I'm going to give people a break. And he has given raises to all kinds of government employees. He's really, huge raises. He's really incredible. And he's not doing it to get votes. They kind of imply that in the article.
Oh,
he's been doing this for the last 2 years. He's been doing these kinds of things. This isn't something new. He truly believes that the people should reap the benefits of these things. And this is from, like I said, all the people moving here. You know how many more taxes the state is making because of all the people buying homes?
Oh, yeah.
We were selling in Florida at the height of the housing, like I'd say January, January through like last fall. They were telling on the news there were 1,000 homes a day. People were buying homes in Florida, 1,000 a day. That's how many people were moving here.
It's amazing.
It was incredible. That's all tax revenue. Plus, that's all bringing in new people spending money in the state and everything. I mean, it has a huge impact. That's why they're panicking. Gavin Newsom is so bitter and angry, and the guy in New York, because everybody's leaving those communist states to come to free Florida and live the good life.
It is pretty awesome. Now, listen, we are out of time for today, but we'll be back next time. I promise you. My name's Brian Craig. Always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Make sure that you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on. Of course, you can find me on YouTube, Brian Craig on YouTube. The Brian Craig Show podcast with Kathy and myself is on all podcast platforms. Wherever you get your podcast, you can find our podcast, all right? It's The Brian Craig Show. Just search it. All right, guys, take care. We will talk to you next time.
It's time to upgrade your life with Starseed Blessings on Etsy.com. At Starseed Blessings on Etsy, you can get readings, birth charts, meet your guardian angels, numerology readings, and much, much more. Are you and your partner a twin flame? Are you wanting to get pregnant? Tune into the universe and see where you fit through readings with Starseed Blessings on Etsy. What do the stars hold for you? Find out. Go right now to Starseed Blessings. That's all one word on Etsy.com.